Yeah. So it was just coming up to the 10 years, and I thought, what better way to do it than talk to you specifically, because we go back. Like, I think you'd only been speedrunning for what, like 6 months or something before? It was about a year
Yeah,
before I came
I,
around.
I I think about half a year, which would make it about 10 years from right around now.
Yeah, because I remember because I mean I do have one question for you, and I'm pretty sure your answer is going to be the exact same as mine for the question, and that is, why did you originally speedrun The Last of Us? Why was that the game that you picked up? And I'm pretty sure both of ours is the same thing.
Yeah, it was just my favorite game. Well, I wasn't gaming much at the time. I see my college roommate playing it, and I'm like, let's see what I missed out on for so long. And I played it, and it was like one of my favorite experiences ever. And I just kept playing it and playing it and playing it.
Yep.
Turned into just figuring out how areas worked so you can do it the most efficiently. And then I found out what speedrunning was after that. So I kind of naturally was doing it and then found out what it was afterwards.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty much the same. I bought it originally on PS3, and I got to Sewers, and I stopped playing. I don't remember why. I think I got sidetracked with other games, and I just put it to the side. And then it had been so long that I just thought, well, there's no point going back. And then when the remastered version came out, I thought I'll give it another try. And then I beat it, and I loved it. Like, I just wanted to keep playing it. So then I did all the trophies that I could in single player. And then after that, I thought, you know what? I'm gonna try and see how fast I can beat the game. And then that was it after that. And I remember my first ever stream I did. It was I told my friend I was doing it, my real life friend, that I wanted to do a speedrun if he wanted to watch, and I streamed it, and he was the only viewer, and that was how it started. That's how I made the count map.
At least you had one viewer.
Well, I didn't see the point in just booting up a stream. I wanted to know that someone was going to be watching, so I asked him if he wanted to watch. And I think my first ever time, I did it on easy, and it was like 4 hours, which is terrible now. But back then, it wasn't that bad for a first run.
Out for first run, yeah.
And yes, that's how I started. And then it just I just kept trying to do it. And then I found you. But I remember how I found you. I must have just been looking to see if anyone else had speedrun it. And then through you, I found speedrun.com. I have very vivid memories of such stupid stuff, because I remember specifically messaging you to figure out how to submit a run, because I had no idea how to do it.
Wow, even I don't remember that stuff. I just remember we were both doing it, I think, before speedrun.com was even a thing. They had other sites where you could put stuff like pb.com or something. There was something like that. So I don't think speedrun.com was an actual thing yet. We could
No.
probably look when it became a thing, but
Well, I
I
think
doubt it.
because I made my account 22nd of May, 2015. So I've literally just hit the 10-year anniversary of my account.
Hmm?
So it's been a long
Well,
time. I mean, when I met you, I was 17. I'm 28 this year.
mhm.
So it's been a long time, and even after all this time, we're both still doing it. The only difference is I'm not playing that shit game anymore, whereas you are. Um, I mean, I still love the game. It's just I can't speedrun it. And like I try and I come back, and it's just I'm
I
so
know.
far out of touch.
You approach it from a professional level, and the love you have for it just vanishes.
Well, that's a good question. So, do you still like the game? So, do you
Yeah.
actually enjoy playing it still?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
I mean, if you didn't enjoy it, you wouldn't do it.
No, you would know. I take more days off. I be more miserable than I come across. No, but it's I don't know. It's especially when I compare it to other games. Like, I do the occasional Left Behind. I do Part 2, I do Remake, and then you come back to this and it's just such a breath of fresh air. It's
Yeah.
it's it's so nice. Like, there's things you can't control that will end a run for you, and times are getting low enough that sometimes it does feel more like a burden than like you feel super competitive, but I don't know. It's still kind of like magic to me. I still love it.
Well, it's good to have goals as well that you want to reach.
Oh
I
yeah, you
mean,
you, you stop having goals, the desire to improve just goes away. I think I was watching this years ago, but I watched a lot of Bob Ross when he was big on Twitch, and there was one there was one thing he said, basically the same sentiment, but he's like, but he ended it with like, "I wish you dissatisfaction in your work."
What does that even mean?
He said, "When you get satisfied with something, you stop trying."
That's true. That is true. I mean,
He's like, "I,
for
I
the
wish you
longest time,
dissatisfaction."
yeah, for the longest time, I just wanted like sub 230 when I was doing any percent, and then I got it, and then it was just kind of like, well, what's the point now? Because it's like, because compared to like you and Uranto, I'm not nowhere near close. Like, it's like, I'm still third on the any percent board, and I have no idea how, because the difference between third and second is like 10 minutes now, or like 11 or
Hmm.
something. I don't know.
In that regard, third is perfectly fine. You know, that's bronze.
I'll take it. Maybe if someone beats me one day, I'll come back. But I'm more inclined to do part two instead of the first one, just because I kind of want to do it on PC. Maybe one day I'll actually. It's just a lot to learn. It's not about. I like running. It's the learning. It's having to
Yeah.
then go through everything and pick it all back up. And obviously I haven't ran part two since it came out. And then you know me getting partnered through that game, and then literally within like a week or two after I got partnered, I stopped playing it because I'm stupid. And
No,
um,
no, 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 no. Part two in its launch state, not glitch wise, but just run wise, was in a rough state. You know, if that's the only game we had,
yeah, I
people
mean
wouldn't be nearly as enthusiastic about it.
it being locked at 30 was annoying. The load screens were horrendous, and I remember saying
An
that
hour?
I wanted to wait till the PS5 version come out, or until the PS5 came out, not the PS5 version, and then maybe then it would not be as bad. And yeah, 60 FPS was nice, but it still had terrible loads, and it just wasn't enough to make me want to play it again.
My record on part two has an hour and 10 minutes of loading screens.
It sounds about right.
That's criminal.
Because obviously for part two, I was running that before you were, and I had a lot of
Yeah.
people come into my streams or message on my videos, like shit talking me about you, and it's like why I don't understand why people think that like we're all in this together. It's a community
Mm.
effort. If it wasn't for me and all those like strats that I came up with to like start the foundation, I put a lot of effort into all that.
Yeah, those are equally as important as strategies that are found like a week ago.
Yeah,
You know, you need a foundation to build off of. Those are just as important.
yeah. So let me see if I've got another question. Ba, 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 ba. Okay,
I will say
here's one.
this. Okay.
Go on. You go first.
I, I will say this about part two remaster. Well, just part two in general, because strategies are tiny bit different, but not much. Um, Part two, at least for me, is the easiest to relearn. Like the way I work is I go from one game for a few months to another game for a few months. I don't mix games. I'm one project for an extended period of time.
I'm terrible at that, by
Uh,
the way. If you haven't noticed by how many games I speedrun.
I actually looked it up before we did this call. You have 126 games on your resume.
Is that runs or games?
Games. Runs probably takes it into the 200s.
No, actually, do you know what? I'm gonna check, but I actually think runs is at like
Oh, yeah.
446 runs I've done.
Total runs. Yeah, yeah, that makes even more sense. Um, I keep a playlist on YouTube. Mine's over 200, but that's of course just
The same
with a
game.
few games.
And
Yeah.
Uncharted 2, and 1, and 3. And did you
Uh,
run 4? Or Lost
never,
Legacy? No.
never. No. What was I going to say? Part two is the easiest of the Last of Us games to relearn.
I can see
Mainly,
that.
mainly because you don't have to rely on a single random drop of ammo in the entire run.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Same goes for crafting ingredients as well. No parts or supplements because it takes too long. It's the easiest to relearn, despite it being a long game.
Yeah. maybe one day I'll get back to it. So I was going to ask, is there any specific runs or moments from the past 10 years, well 11 years for you technically thereabouts, that stand out to you that you've done in the game?
It's usually the round number milestones, getting below 3. I
I
remember
remember that. That was
Mhm.
insane back then.
that was November of 2016. Considering the starting point was above 3.5 hours. Yeah, that was a couple years later. It was below 3. Of course, at the time, thinking it's never going to get better than this, and now we're pushing 246. But my best runs, I think, are usually the round numbers. I remember 250 being a big deal. 249 was a huge deal, and then 248 happens, and then I pulled a 247 out of my ass. Some people describe TV shows or something as like, oh, that was way ahead of its time or something.
Yeah.
That 247 happened way earlier than it was supposed to.
I mean, the lower the times get, the harder it gets to actually get a better time because you can't make as many mistakes. But I guess recently, with all the new strats that Uranto and stuff found, did
Mhm.
make it
Yeah.
easier to push that time down if you didn't have the new stuff.
Yeah, we're always thinking like, all right, that'll be the last thing that's ever found, and then Uranto and Proxima just found a whole batch of new stuff. And there's even some new stuff that I'm choosing not to do because it's a little more inconsistent, but yeah, there's still more to be done, and it's a work of the community, really.
Yeah.
I haven't found new stuff in a long time. I wish I did.
I still remember back in the day when I first started running it, because obviously Uranto was quite a while after me and you. And I remember it was basically just me and you trading records for a good like few months. And I was speaking to someone, I can't remember who it was, that like really enjoyed that dynamic of like you'd break it and then I'd be online literally trying to break it within like an hour after you'd finished. And then I'd beat it
Yeah,
and then you'd be back the next day doing the same thing. It was a lot of fun. Um
it was. I can vividly remember I was sitting in my writing class in college. It was a community college, so it was, I'm gonna say, summer of 2013, right? No, summer of 2014, summer of 2014,
yeah.
and I think I had a 3 hours 33 minutes or something.
Oh
No, it
yeah,
might have been summer
that's
of
the grounded run
2015.
that I remember.
Yeah, it might. I to be honest, I forget the date, but um, I had 3 hours, 33 minutes, and 34 seconds on grounded, which was basically the first known time that I put up. And you were running grounded New Game Plus. You got 1 second faster than me. 1 second, even back then, which I'm gonna say was 8 or 9 years ago.
I
You
don't
got
think
one
that
one
was
second.
me.
Yes, it was
I've
100%.
never ran grounded New Game Plus ever.
Maybe it was easy mode then.
It might have been easy. I
Survivor or
know
hard.
that because back then we had separate categories for every difficulty, so we were going through them. So we were doing easy, normal, hard. I remember doing those three. I don't think I did Survivor. I have ran grounded, but it was a long time after the beginning, and I wasn't speedrunning then. I didn't start running Last of Us until 2015, so it couldn't have been me unless you're mixing up the dates.
Oh, I just have this memory. I remember because we didn't have separate categories for New Game and New Game Plus. I remember that run kind of forced that, where it's like, well, you're not getting the little tutorial pop-ups. You're not going on the crafting tables. I remember a run like that kind of forced our hand there with having to separate them. Again, this was a long time ago, but I can vividly remember it was you, and you put up a time that was 1 second faster. I remember it.
I remember the 1 second thing. I do remember that. I do remember that.
Yeah.
But I also remember as well that there was one run I did when I literally just beat your time. It might have been this one. Maybe I don't think it was if you said that you were watching it from somewhere else. But I was streaming it
watching
and
it.
you were in my chat. And you said at the end that, I'm going live now. After I beat you, you literally went live straight away to try and get it back. I remember that. Because I remember being like, oh, this motherfucker, he can't let me have it for 10 minutes, dude. I was actually really annoyed.
That's being selfishly competitive.
Yeah. I mean, but back then it was more about actually getting the times than, keeping a consistent, content creation going. Back then it was more the competitive side of it. It was fun. And then,
and neither of us were making a penny from it. We
No.
were doing it just for sport.
I mean, because back then I couldn't, I don't think affiliate was a thing then.
Affiliate wasn't a thing until like
No.
2018 or 19 or something.
Yeah. But it was a lot of fun to go back and forth. And then I remember when you started doing Uncharted as well. And I remember you running Uncharted 2 and you hated it because of how hard it was. I do remember that.
I remember once you got past, oh god, what was it? Once you made it like past the Elena parts, and it was you and Chloe in that temple, or Nate and Chloe in that temple, the run got a little easier. Everything before that, I remember, was really, really tough.
Have you seen the Uncharted 2 run at any point recently?
Recently, oh god, probably a few months ago.
Because it's imagine that run that you did, but amplify it by like 10. It's insane.
I know that, especially since like, I don't know, 5 years ago or something. Like Uncharted's 2 and 3 specifically underwent like renaissances where they're like legitimately freakishly good any percent runs now.
Yeah, I mean I'm still third, but I'm like, I think 6-7 minutes off of second, but that's literally just because second place and first place, which is obviously Aaron's, did all the new strats, so I can save like 5-6 minutes just on the new strats alone. I just haven't. I just can't. It's one of those games where it's so hard to run because there's no consistency. And if you fail like one skip, like you lose minutes. Like you're talking like doing the zip from chapter 5 to 7, which in itself is difficult. You then have to get it fast, or you're losing minutes. It's because you have to then zip and then hope you get the right angle and the right height for like, I think it takes like 30-40 seconds, and then if you don't get it, then you've got to do the clip out again just to try it again, and it sucks. And then not to mention 17 skip you have to do, which is completely random. Like everything about that skip is just RNG. I don't know if you ever tried 17 skip. I'm assuming you didn't. Was it the thing back then?
Is that where you run into the mountain?
Yeah. So everything about that is random. Whether you get a launch is random. What angle you go at is random. The speed that you get can fuck you up, which is random, and how much height you get is random. So there's like 5 factors that you have to get to all line up perfectly to get it, and it sucks.
And you have to do it. Yeah.
Now you do.
A lot of any percent runs get to that point, and then I remember in Last of Us, I don't enjoy the any percent route that much, mainly because of one trick, and that was the museum skip, where it launches you to the roof, or on the fire escape. And I every single time I line it up, I do it correctly, and then it just doesn't work sometimes. And same thing, you fail it, that's a minute and a half gone, and it's over. And
well, you can hate me for that because technically I did find it. I just didn't find the setup that made it work.
You found it a long
time ago.
That's like the running joke in the Discord. You found it a long time ago, and then like someone recently found a way to get it to actually work in
I mean, the running joke is every time someone posts something, someone always says, Matt probably knows about that. Sometimes I don't, but sometimes I do. It's like, I don't know. For me, speedrunning is like kind of back a little bit. For me, I enjoy glitch hunting more, like finding the stuff and breaking the games more than I actually do running them.
Yes, you do. I always see an uploaded video from you of a game that released like less than a week ago, and it's always you not just finding a glitch, but finding a setup to do it over and over. You're so good at that.
I'm good at finding consistency in what I find because I don't like to show something if it's just bullshit. But I mean, with museum skip, it was so cool that I just had to show it regardless. But like,
Mm.
in the Indiana Jones, for example, is from what you just said, the new Indiana Jones is a perfect example of that, because every skip barring one in that game was found by me, and there was a lot of people doing stuff, and I found pretty much all the big skips, and I found all the setups for them, and someone found a way to launch, and you look at it and you think, what are you going to do with that? Because you have to do it, you have to grab an enemy through something. So let's say they're behind a barrier or a wall. You have to grab them, and then the game just freaks out and just sends you offline. So then I stupidly thought to myself, oh, I'll find a skip for that. And this really specific setups you can do by like making sure you're standing in a corner or like wedged up against something, looking at a specific spot when you grab them. And I managed to skip an entire chapter with one launch that saved about 25-30 minutes. And the setup for that was ridiculous. It took me about a week to get it perfect. And it's like, you know, I'll put in the effort if I think something's worth doing. But that's what I enjoy more. Like, I do enjoy speedrunning, like, especially with the Indiana Jones, because I did a hotfix run of it. I enjoy...
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, you should watch it. Plug.
Yeah.
So, with that game, I spent most of my time finding the stuff, but then it was like, what's the point in putting all this effort into finding the tricks if I don't get to use them? So obviously, of course I'm going to run the game. So I did. But, you know, I enjoyed glitching it and breaking it more than anything else. And that's mainly what I do. Like, I still think that there's more stuff to find in Last of Us, but it's like, I don't know how. But it makes me wonder, because I remember years ago, there was a comment on, I can't remember if it was one of my videos, someone said they clipped through the Pittsburgh gate at the start with a brick. And I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, how the fuck did they do that? Now I'm thinking that it's exactly what Uranto found. They ran, and instead of using a brick, they must have swung the melee weapon and clipped through the door against Ellie or something.
The Pittsburgh gate?
The one right at the start. In Alone and Forsaken, right at the start.
Oh.
That
yeah,
gate.
That's the... We do that in runs now. I remember. You crouch, you aim a brick, and you turn the camera.
Oh, no,
and all the
but
enemies...
they said that they physically clipped Joel through the gate to the other side.
Oh.
And I spent a long time trying to figure out what they did, because all I had was that to go off of. They could have just been talking crap.
Right, but there's a chance if he does that, he probably still has his sprint.
Yeah, so I reckon that's what they did, was do what Uranto found for the setup to clip walls with the NPCs. It probably was the same as that. I'm assuming, anyway. Let me look at these questions. I've got there's a lot of stuff that I probably won't ask. It's just a lot of crap.
You can. Today's my off day.
Well, it's
you
like
can.
this one.
I got that.
What keeps making you come back to this game after all these years? I already know the answer to that.
Yeah,
streaming.
The fact that it's
to stream.
Yeah, it's become a full-time job for me, and I'm someone who just doesn't like change. I like consistency. I like routine, and you know, every time I play the game, something different happens. That could also be a bad thing because you want the same things to happen. But yeah, also just it always feels like I have unfinished business with it. You know, like my current record. I got it 4 days ago. It was amazing for the first half. The second half was one of the worst pieces of trash I ever put up, but it still turned into a record. My God.
To me, I just look at that as
saved.
Something was good, but there's time saved there. I would never want to have perfect splits to run against, because it would just suck. Because you'd always be losing time.
Yeah,
but I guess you'd rather have the good stuff at the end than the start. Probably.
I would honestly rather have the time improvements at the end. Because in the beginning, I know exactly how hard I need to play. Let's say, hypothetically, I reach the halfway point and I'm +5, right? I'm like, oh my God, I'm in a prime position to just cut off so much time. I prefer that feeling.
Yeah. But I guess in terms of the streaming thing, you can relate to this specifically. Because, for me and you, for example, obviously we both speedran The Last of Us back then. when I was running it, I got decent viewers. Obviously, nowhere near compared to you, but it was all right. And then Last of Us 2 came out, and then my channel blew up. I was getting like 300 viewers. I got partnered and stuff. And then I wanted to top myself because I don't want to sit there and play a game that I'm not enjoying. So I stopped playing it. And it was a bad decision, yeah, but it makes me wonder because for you, for example, you went with it. You got popular from The Last of Us, and you just kept it going. And it makes me think of one of my friends recently. You might know him because he's in the Last of Us Discord. The Demented Salad. You heard of him? Yeah. So he blew up recently, completely blew up. So he started a meta that loads of people have followed. So he's doing Dark Souls 2 randomized permadeath runs, and a bunch of big streamers that he knows started to do it with him, and then those viewers flocked from them to him, and then there's a bunch of other people now that have started doing it. So he went from getting 20 viewers to 1,000 within a week.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I bring this up is because I was talking to him the other day, and he was telling me how much he hates doing it. He doesn't like it. And he's gonna maybe move on to something else. If whether or not he'll finish it, I don't know. But he's gonna move on to other stuff. And right now he's doing a Death Stranding casual playthrough again in like preparation for the new one. And his views have just dropped, like completely off, and it just sucks. I mean, he's still getting like decent views, like 100 views. You know, I'd kill for that now. But compared to what he was getting, it's like not even remotely close. And it just goes to show that people watch a specific streamer for specific thing they're playing. It's very rare that you get a streamer that can do variety, unless it's like one of these really, really big streamers. For me, for example, I was known for swapping games. I wouldn't play the same game. I was known for playing games, different games, running different games. And I got, 20, 30 viewers on average most of the time. It was fine. And then when Last of Us 2 blew up, I had to make that decision. Do I regret stopping playing it? Of course I do. I wish I'd have carried on. But it's one of those things where it's like you have to put like the future of like what you want to do ahead of how you feel. Like, do you really want to sit there and be depressed and miserable playing something? Because then if you're playing a game you don't want to play and you're streaming it, you're not going to be entertaining because you're not having fun. And then you're probably still going to lose those viewers anyway by playing the game you don't want to play. And it's just, it sucks for, it's why I think making YouTube videos in a certain sense is more sustainable for, the future of content creation, because a lot of people, even though you might have a certain niche that you make videos in, you can still do different things. Whereas for streamers, let's say you play a certain genre of games like Dark Souls. If you play all the Dark Souls games, those people are watching you for those, but you can still play different games. Whereas for you, you have to play The Last of Us. I mean, you've done a lot of casual stuff before. You enjoy that. It's like it doesn't hurt your channel. And
it's because that's always temporary.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's temporary, but you do always go back. But there is some streamers who don't go back to what made them popular. But for you as well, I think if you went and did a speedrun of a different game, you'd still get your viewers, because I think you've been doing it for so long now that people are watching you for you, not for the game, because you stuck with it for this long. Maybe that's just me, but I do think that's how it would work.
A lot of people tell me that, but then the reality is something a bit different. Like when I got my record, I had 1,000 viewers. My last stream, when I got a 248.15, I think. I had 1,000 between both Twitch and YouTube. I did a Left Behind grind somewhat recently, maybe, I don't know, 8 or 9 months ago. My viewership dropped to like, I'd say 300 or 400, basically half.
Is this,
I remember.
Is this glitchless or anything?
I think I did all of them. This was Left Behind remake. I did pretty much all of the categories. And viewership was basically cut in half. I remember in 2021, I did a month-long grind of Uncharted 3. It was my least profitable month in a very long time.
You played that game for that long. I hate Uncharted 3.
That was before all the new stuff was found, so that makes it even worse.
Yeah, but the problem for me with Uncharted 3 is I like the game, and I think Uncharted 3 has the best soundtrack out of all of them, and that mainly
Hmm.
just comes from I played the multiplayer a lot, so I'd sit in a lobby listening to it over and over again. um, but for me personally, Uncharted 3, the speedrun is the worst because of the chapter 10 to 14 or 15 slog, where chapter 10 is just walking, and then chapter 11
With
is
Elena.
you're on the
Yeah.
boat, and it's just boring as hell. Everything from there to the boat is crap. When you get to the airport, which is 16, it kind of picks up again, but then you get 7, then you get 18, then you get the horse chase. It's so bad. Like the first half's alright, the second half's terrible until you get to like Ram of the Pillars, right? There's a specific name for the end of it. I'm just gonna call it Ram of the Pillars. The end part. You know, you get back to doing more fun stuff.
Surprisingly, 3 was, I don't know. I was drawn to 3 the most. I do not know why. I just, again, I haven't speedrun Uncharted in so long. Everyone
Are
asks if
you
I'm
ever
ever gonna
gonna
pick
come
it up
back?
again. I probably will. Something I could do for fun is just like run one of the games or run all the games again, but only keep running it until I get a new PB. That way I can
Uncharted
say I
2.
got it.
Uncharted 2.
Yeah.
Uncharted 2 is
I
my
could,
favorite. If there was a game I'd want you to do, it was that. Because I feel like Uncharted 1's kind of lackluster at best. You're just doing the same thing over and over again. Whereas Uncharted 2 has got so many variations of tricks and skips that you can do. It makes it a bit more enjoyable for me. Um, but then, like, obviously, because with Uncharted, a lot of the main tricks that are used in the run were found by me as well. So, like the airwalking 2, I found.
yes, they were.
The launch
Yeah.
in 3, I found. I found the airwalking 1, which caused a whole lot of controversy and then got banned, which was fun. Obviously, I banned it though because it was horrible to do without slow motion, so it was just not worth
Oh, I
anyone's
remember that one.
pain.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um. So to me, Uncharted is probably the thing that I hold the most dear in terms of speedrunning, especially 2 because I put so much effort into 2. Like it's ridiculous. Like I think maybe I don't have as many hours of use as you got in Last of Us in Uncharted 2, but I probably got like 4,000 something like that on just 2 alone. So it was
That's
a
enough.
good time, yeah. And to be able to run it at GDQ was nice.
That's right. Yeah.
Have you seen me like I don't know if because you don't really watch me because I'm like shit, but Blade 2. Have you seen me play that game at all? Have you heard of it?
Which game?
Blade 2. It's the movie
No.
tie-in game. Okay, well, there's a movie tie-in game called Blade 2. It's on the PS2, and it was my favorite game when I was a kid. It's not very good, but I turned the speedrun single-handedly into an actual good speedrun. You basically just go out of bounds in every level and go straight to the end, and it's a good time. And then I got in contact with one of the developers of the game who I managed to do an interview with him, like what I mentioned to you before, where when we started. And then he watched the run, and it was nice to see him be like, "What the fuck are you doing to my game? This is insane." And then I eventually got him on board to do commentary with me for a bunch of marathons, and he was there because I'd submitted this game that I thought was crap, or that other people I thought would think was crap for so many GDQs, and eventually I got it accepted, and I was over the moon. To be able to run this at a mainline GDQ event was insane to me. This little game
with the developer.
yeah, and he commentated with me as well. It was great, and every person I've heard talk about that game thinks it's like an amazing speedrun. They all love it, and people love his commentary too because it's like I'm talking about the glitches, explaining what I'm doing, but then he's also giving insight into the game and how it was made and all this stuff, and it's a lot of fun. But that's my peak right there. That's my peak speedrunning. Like that, doing that run at GDQ. That's it. I'm happy with that.
Yeah, that's a speedrun marathon's like perfect setup. You can't ask for anything more than that. A speedrun that you basically invented yourself in the mainline marathon with the developer. That's as good as it can get. Really.
Did you do that though with one of your Last of Us runs? I swear you had a developer. Or was it ESA? Or was it Left Behind at GDQ? I swear. I vaguely remember you having one of the devs on. Or am I just...
Wasn't No, it wasn't in a speedrunning marathon. You're thinking of that guy, Crooked from my chat. He wasn't in he might have been in the chat of the marathon, but he wasn't providing commentary.
Oh, maybe. Um. Oh, here's a good question for you. Is there any like glitches or strategies? I can't even speak. Is there any glitches or strategies that you miss that have either been like phased out of the run over the years? Don't say downtown drop. Or do you
No,
still do that?
I never. That trick is only done in the all collectibles category.
Right.
Um, any trick or glitch that's been phased out due to something else being found. Hmm. Oh, that's a good one. I gotta think for a second. Um,
The only one that came to my mind was the downtown drop. 'Cause that, but you probably don't miss
no,
that.
we kind of do a similar thing. We're just jumping left instead of right. We kind of still do that today. Um, I don't know. All the new stuff is really, really good. I mean,
It doesn't even have to be a glitch. It could just be a strat that you do in a certain area that you prefer the older version of, but it's slower than what you would do now.
yeah, I'm thinking of that. I guess my answer would be the doggy door. There was a new strat found by Uranto that, if done perfectly, is about 4 or 5 seconds faster, and it's in the doggy door in Graveyard. But the setup is a little bit tricky. I don't think it's as consistent. And that's an area. Graveyard's terrible. It's freaking terrible.
Oh yeah,
It's the worst area.
yeah,
And and I'm so reluctant to give it up because basically how it works is in the first part of Graveyard, if you're doing the new thing, in the first part of Graveyard, if you kill the one clicker that follows you with a shotgun and he drops a shell, you have to get in position to be in front of the locked gate that Bill opens. So if he drops the shell, you can't pick it up. And then if Bill gets a plus sign in the next area, I don't think Ellie can get rid of it. Whereas with the other strategy that I found, she can. Not 100% of the time, but she can. And with the new strat, it's also more likely an infected will spawn at the very end by the doggy door. Whereas the strat that I found basically eliminates that.
yeah.
If anyone ever asks, like, what's your favorite strategy that you've ever found, my answer is always doggy door. Because before that, we would literally just run through the area and hope for the best, which never worked, which never ever worked. So I came up with this, brick throw over the wall thing, start sprinting like when you reach a certain invisible line, and then you go. And if Bill gets a plus sign, Ellie gets rid of it, and there's no enemies waiting for you at the end. And you can still collect any shotgun ammo that they drop. I love it, but I think time is going to eventually phase that one out as the times get lower and lower,
Yeah.
and that's going to sadden me.
Yeah, when you think about it as well, there's so much weird stuff that we do in Last of Us to do certain things that when you're looking at it from an outside view, you're like, why is he doing that? It's like
Yeah,
so many little nuances, just standing in specific places, or making noise in a certain area, or blocking AI or something like that will do weird things that you just don't understand unless you have an explanation of why it's being done.
yes. In my current record, I was doing the Henry section when you first meet up with Henry, the three enemies on the bottom level and the two enemies at the top level.
Yeah.
The new strat is you don't use a Molotov in the gymnasium anymore, and instead you use it at Henry's. One Molotov throw takes out two enemies. The third enemy far away from the throw gets injured, so one swing kills him. But then right after that, you pick up the pipe that he drops, and you need to not move forward because then Henry's going to move forward. And if he climbs up the car to the top level in the wrong way, it'll take him like an extra 10 seconds to climb. So much like the rest of the run, it's companion AI manipulation. When you kill that last enemy with a swing, you need to stay where you are or even back up a little bit to make sure he doesn't walk too far into the area. But in my run, one of the enemies dropped shotgun ammo. So I picked up the pipe and I was like, ooh, ammo. I walked forward, and that was all it took for Henry to just derp out, and I lost a dozen seconds.
That is just insane how much like little
I
details
moved
can just ruin the run.
I moved maybe a foot forward, just a foot to pick it up because I was a little short, and that ruined Henry.
But it
That
also makes
ruined
you wonder,
Henry.
like, how specific things need to be that, like, how that stuff also gets found as well. Like, I know I found a bunch of like really weird specific stuff back in the game back in the day, but um, it's a lot of patience. Like people think, even glitching, people think that like, oh, it's cheating, it's easy, but it's not. Like sometimes doing glitches and skips is a lot harder than just doing it normally.
Yeah,
Like,
it's harder for me. That's for
because you
sure.
you don't like glitches, you're not a big fan, but you can still appreciate them.
Yeah, I'm not as big a fan of them in Last of Us, but when I run other games, it's usually the any percent category.
Yeah. Um, I do have a question. So it's kind of one that, for me specifically, used to be like this, but it changed a lot over years, especially when I first started speedrunning. But how is speedrunning, not so much stream, but how has speedrunning affected you when it comes to gaming in general? Because for
Um,
me, when I first started speedrunning, I could not play a game normally. I couldn't enjoy it. I couldn't, because literally, I remember a couple of games came out like not long after I first started speedrunning, and all I wanted to do was try and break them. And it was just, straight away. I tried to play it normally, I just couldn't, and then I just started trying to like hump walls and stuff, and then I just couldn't enjoy it. But I'm not like that now. Like I can put up a game and I can separate the two. But for you, because I don't see you playing much stuff casually on stream, so for you, like, do you sit there off stream and play games for yourself and enjoy them?
no, it has destroyed the hobby for me of just playing games.
Yeah, it
Treating
happens
this
to a
as a
lot of people.
Yeah, treating this as a profession, as a full-time job has destroyed the hobby overall for me. Not to where I don't enjoy it, but I don't feel the desire to
Yeah,
just have fun with something.
no, I feel that. Like it
Especially
took me
right
a
now
long
because
time to get back into being able to enjoy games again. Like because I remember I've always been a huge gamer. Like since I was a kid, all I did was play games.
yeah,
And when I started speedrunning, I just felt like I was burnt out on gaming. And I remember I used to just sit there and either watch stuff or listen to music more than just playing games. And it took me a long time to actually appreciate playing games again. Um, so I guess it's the same for you. Maybe one day you can get that itch back to sit there and buy a game that's new and play it.
maybe. I mean, it's for me it's so much like muscle memory where sometimes I feel like the stars have to align if I want to one day cut off even more time in my favorite gaming category. And it takes, just only doing that, only holding one controller, just only having that be the thing in your head where that's what it takes nowadays. And like I don't even feel like doing the no return daily runs because it's a different game with a different control scheme and a different controller.
And it
And
sucks.
I feel like I I like it, but it
You like the remake style controls?
not remake, but the part two, part two's
I mean,
pretty
part
fun to
two is
play.
is a different entity, but it's still very similar
Yeah,
to remake.
yeah, but when it comes to when I'm playing original Last of Us, that 30 or 40-minute session, I feel like could potentially mess up tomorrow's attempts.
Yeah.
Because like briefly, a different everything is in my head. It's the last thing in
I
my
mean,
head before I go
one
offline.
way you could look at it is like if you're like a professional sports person and you play, I'll say soccer just to keep it brief, because obviously I don't
Mm.
say that, but you do. Let's say you're a professional soccer player, and it's like all you do, but then you try and play a different sport like tennis or something else, and then it's just going to mess up, you know, playing the sport that you are a professional at. It's kind of the
Yeah.
same concept. You don't want to be playing one game professionally and then mess it with another.
No, that's exactly it. And if anyone asks, why do you still play this one game? Because I get that at least once a day, every day. Um, uh, it's like, why do you still play it? And I do compare it to a sport because my favorite sport's baseball. It's not many other people's favorite sport,
I
as I
mean, you
as
know,
I find
I
out.
like golf. Not many people like
Mhm.
golf. It,
Yeah,
so
no,
yeah,
it's everyone's thing. But the Major League Baseball schedule is grueling. If you're including the playoffs and preseason spring training, that's basically 8 straight months of not a single day off. I mean, you get the occasional day off for travel, but at least what it feels like, there's a game every single day. Every single day. Their regular season schedule is 162 games over the course of 6 months.
what?
That's a lot.
That's
That's
a
a
lot of
lot.
sport.
That's a lot. I know. And even if you're not like constantly always doing a physical activity the entire length of the game, it's still enough to eat away at your mind.
Yeah.
Like just this schedule coming in, and it's
I
the
mean,
old
that's
adage
basically
in
what you're doing
sports.
with Last of Us.
Yeah, there's nothing harder in sports than hitting a baseball. That's at least at least a baseball thrown by a professional pitcher. But yeah, baseball's always been my favorite sport ever since I was young, but I've taken that mindset of uh, that's what it takes to be a professional, and just applied it to this. That wasn't the plan when I first started, but it just became that when I could pay my bills doing it. And it's just, you only think, like, I don't have a 10-year plan, even a 5-year plan. I'm doing this today, and then, all right, I didn't get a record, I'm doing it again tomorrow. That's as far as.
Do you ever see an end? There's got to be an end at some point. Like, do you ever see yourself like coming away from it, or at least branching off into something different? Because like, let's face it, you can't keep playing The Last of Us for like another 10 years or 15 years on the stream, because you will
That was
want to throw yourself off a building probably.
well, that was the plan. The Last of Us, not the building.
Okay.
I don't know. I always said, like, well, even now I say, look, I'm probably not going to be 60 years old and still playing Last of Us, but I don't know. If there's better times to get, and I feel like I can realistically achieve it, I know my mind is gonna, like,
I mean, at that point, we might get
force
to
me
like
to try
sub
and get it
2 hours.
done.
When you get to like 60, we'll be at under 2 hours by then.
Mm.
Um,
I don't know. The segmented run that me and a viewer are working on offline, I think it's gonna end up being like a high 243.
I mean, that's pretty wild to shave off like 4 minutes from perfection.
Yeah.
But I mean, like it does make me wonder, like what we were talking about before. Like, surely there's got to be like maybe it's not all your viewers, but there's probably a decent amount of them that are only watching you because they enjoy your content. But then it's that risk you've got to take. Like, if you stop, like for me, for example, when I stopped Last of Us 2, if I'd have gone back to it maybe like after a month, it might have been fine. But like, I didn't, like, because, and that was only because like Grounded coming out annoyed me, because I put so much effort into Survivor for no reason, because it was just gone. Like, everything I'd come up with was just pointless, because a lot of
That's
stuff you
right.
can't do in Grounded that I was doing.
Uh-huh. I've forgotten Grounded released like 8 or 9 months after, or was it a few? It was
It
a
was
few
like
months later.
it was August. Because I remember I got partnered on the because I
Two
saw my
months.
notification for being partnered when I was doing my first Grounded run stream when it came out on that day.
Mm.
So I think because obviously I'm really sad I remember the day. August 14th was when it released. August 13th. August 13th or 14th was when Grounded came out. So it was like a couple months after. Um, but you know, it does make you wonder whether you could do something else eventually. Like, obviously not now. You don't even have that in your mind at this point. But one day,
Yeah. I don't know. I don't really think about that. Look, there's a part of my mind that still does enjoy doing it. So I'm going to keep doing it as long as I still enjoy it. And again, like I mentioned, I like the routine. I'm not
Yeah.
one who likes change with really anything in my life. I just like routine, and I don't mind being known as that.
I mean, you are the Last of Us
If,
guy. You are
if
the
if
guy.
someone describes me, I don't mind being that Last of Us speedrunner guy. I don't mind being that.
Yeah. I mean, because you are like you're not the, I wouldn't say you're the pioneer, because obviously there
Mm,
was people before you, there was people before me.
I don't
But
want to be a pioneer for anything.
you're the one that stuck with it. You're the one that kept it going, and I don't think, I'd like to say that, like, I don't think if it wasn't for you, that the speedrun would be as popular as it is. Because, like, look at the speedrun server. I made the speedrun server because we all talked about setting one up, and then I made it. Because before that,
Yep,
we did have one. Do you remember that I made one years and years and years ago, and no one joined it?
didn't work.
No.
Yeah. Mm.
And then when
Then I
part
came
two
to
came
you, and it's
out,
like,
we thought maybe now will be the time to do it again. And then literally within like what, a month, it had like over 1,000 members. Just,
mhm,
but
yeah.
I put that down to you. I don't think the games would be as popular as a speedrun if it wasn't for you. There's a lot of people that will watch you that want to do it, and then they do it. And it's because, like, you know Rocky.
Yeah.
Yeah, he watched you. He ran The Last of Us because of you. Realized it was dog shit, and then did Uncharted. But he still did it because of you, and it was because of you that got him into speedrunning, if I remember
Uh,
correctly from when I spoke to him. So
that's pretty cool.
there's a lot of people that will do something because other people are doing it and they enjoy it. It's like that Dark Souls 2 thing I mentioned with my friend who's streaming it. There's people
Right.
that wanted to also join in and try and do that challenge because he was doing it first.
I remember there was another streamer who started with Last of Us. It's a very similar story to what you described with Demented. His name was Catalyst.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
He started with Last of Us Any Percent, and then went on to do. I'm pretty sure it was Dark Souls.
Yeah.
I'm pretty
I
sure.
mean, I don't know if you knew this, but me and him were really good friends. Like, so I remember there was a guy, his name was Epic Dude Guy. Pretty cool guy.
I
He,
think I've heard of that.
yeah, he ran Uncharted 2, and that's how I knew him. And he asked me if I was interested in trying out one of the Prince of Persia games as a speedrun. Because he
Mhm.
knew my glitching ability. He thought maybe I could find some stuff. So I said to him, okay, I'll buy Prince of Persia, Warrior Within, and I'll do it. And that's how I met Kata. That's what I call him, Kat. I met him through that. And we became friends from Prince of Persia. And until like 2017, me and him were like really close. So we would be in calls every day, talking and playing games together. And then he got popular, and that was it. So
Um,
yeah, it's one of those things. I do blame myself for it because I really got into PUBG, and I kind of neglected him playing PUBG, and then we just kind of grew apart. But that was around the same time that he started speedrunning Dark Souls as well, so it kind of just intertwined. But I do get your point. It takes one thing to click. Like for me, I thought maybe I might get a few more viewers doing Last of Us 2, but I didn't expect it to blow up as big as it did. But it depends if you stick with what you do. So for him, he did stick with Dark Souls, and he's still doing it now. And like you stuck with Last of Us. But for me, I needed that variety. I like to bounce from game to game. I like to go from one game to run another and another. Because that's just what I like to do. I can't sit there and play the same game every day, or I'm gonna want to jump off a building. So
go crazy. Yeah.
yeah, so I didn't do that. If I could go back 5 years and keep playing too, I would, because I really enjoyed streaming. It's like what I said to someone recently, because I don't stream much anymore, just because obviously child, but also it's just there's not much that I want to do. There's nothing I really that speaks to me and says, okay, I wanna stream that. But I've completely forgot what I was gonna say.
Well,
it-
well, regardless of what you do with speedrunning or streaming, because the two technically are separate. Um, you have to. There's a part of you, not maybe 100%, but there's a part of you that has to enjoy what you're doing, because if you're not, it is going to show in your body language, in how
Yeah.
you treat people. It's going to show.
Oh,
Like, you
that's what
catch me on a
that's what I
bad
was
day.
gonna say.
You
'Cause
catch me on a bad day, I'm not fun to talk to. Just
I mean,
plain and simple.
I've seen you on a bad day.
Hmm.
I mean,
And they happen.
should we talk about that story? Like, hash it out. Do you know what I'm gonna say?
Oh, well,
There's one
if
thing
there's
that
a
you've
story, if
done to
there's a
me
story,
a long time
go
ago.
ahead.
Okay. So, for the viewers who don't know, Ant, one day, I've done one mod action in Ant's chat. Well, a long time ago, I banned someone for telling me to fuck off, and then Ant unmodded me because. So what happened was, I think you seemed annoyed, and then I told you, okay, well, unmod me then, and then you did. A week later or something, you modded me again. Do you not remember that?
I don't. I really
I've
don't.
never always been a mod in your stream because at one point you unmodded me. So I can't remember who it was. There was a guy in your chat and he was talking crap, and he told me to fuck off in your stream. So I don't remember if I banned him or timed him out. But then you unmodded me because I told you to, because you seemed annoyed. But I get what you mean. You were probably annoyed at the game. The game was probably getting on your nerves, whatever.
Well, since that clearly happened so long ago, I can't remember it. I definitely wasn't in a good place in life. Like, 2016 was probably the worst year of my entire life. Nobody died or anything, but
Oh no, I have the
uh,
exact same sentiment as you with that exact same year. It just, I don't know. It was like, because speedrunning was an escape for me. I don't know how much you know about me and like my life in general, but like I've spoke a lot about anxiety and social anxiety and all that stuff on my stream a lot. I've suffered with agoraphobia for a long time. Like, I don't go outside because I have panic attacks and stuff like that. And back then was at a point where it was really getting to me because I wasn't doing anything. I wasn't going out. I wasn't socializing. I was like, I hadn't seen my family for a long time because I just couldn't go out. So for me, that year sucked because that was at the point where I was getting me really depressed and stuff. Between like 2016, 2017, was at that point where like it was bad. I don't know what your situation was, but obviously it's not that.
no, it wasn't dealing with that. Sorry you had to go through that, of course. But mine was, I had a plan in college. I wanted to be a meteorologist. That flopped hard. Combination of, it probably didn't want it as much as I thought. Otherwise, I would have tried harder. But also, the school was not a right fit for me. So I dropped out with $33,000 of student loan debt, no degree. I'd never worked before. Had to live with my mom. No direction at all. We were at each other's throats. We were like shouting matches between each other. Everyone's like, "Oh, the phone calls you make after your record with your mom are so wholesome." It wasn't always wholesome.
I know, because I
Nine years
remember
nine
your
years ago.
mom hated you doing it. He used to
Yeah,
talk about it a
it's
lot.
one. Look, if I was my parents and my child wanted to drop out of college to play games, like, hell no, you're finishing college, okay? So I get it. I get it. But now yeah, that was pretty much the entire year of 2016. I also wasn't making a penny. The only way to make money on Twitch back in 2016 was either through donations, and you had to be partnered. That was the only way to get a sub button, because the
Yeah.
affiliate program didn't exist yet. They didn't even have Prime subs back then. It and this being not just making money, but then being profitable and then making enough to live on your own, and that was years away from happening still. So 2016,
Yeah.
beginning of 2017, that was like hell on earth for me, at
I
least.
mean, one thing you can say is that you got partnered before affiliate was a thing. Because I remember when they
Yeah.
announced affiliate, you were really pissed off.
Yeah. No, I always go in. I was, yes, but that was a temporary being pissed off, because the reality is I wish I had that when I was
Yeah,
getting there. It's a bad mindset to adopt, where it's like, uh, well, I had to put in this much effort to get where I had to be.
but
So
but
do they.
but as a
And
partner, you still
yeah,
get more than an affiliate would.
heck, no, not
Well,
really.
it used to be like that, did it not?
Not really. There wasn't that much of a line drawn between affiliate and partner. Like, partners get you can, like, submit a ticket for help, and you can get a certain number of emotes, and you get a badge next to your name. That was about it.
That's true.
That was about the only difference.
I think I saw a tweet once that said that the like partner being a partner is so overrated because it really doesn't mean much other than the tick in your name. It's like you can get hundreds and hundreds of viewers still being an affiliate. It doesn't matter if you're a partner or not.
Pretty much. Yeah, and they have the Partner Plus program now. I think you can like, where you get 70% on your subs versus 50. And I think you can still get it if you're an affiliate. I think. I'm not 100% sure, but I think you can. Regardless, yeah, back in 2016, partner was a way bigger deal than it is now. So,
Yeah. Bit of a
yeah.
random tangent because I just read one of the questions and it reminded me of something.
Hmm.
You were the person that got me into Metal Gear because I remember you would talk about it a lot, um, and I remember asking you like if I should try it because I was never really into like stealth tactical games like that. But you said that absolutely you should, and I remember getting Metal Gear Solid on PS1, and I
those
loved it.
those games were the best games on their respective consoles.
Yeah, and Metal Gear Solid 3 is by far still one of my favorite games. It's definitely my favorite in the series, and that isn't
Yep.
just me being biased because I knew it was yours, but it was a lot of fun. But I read the
No,
question
it
because it
was.
said, "Is there any games that you love but you wouldn't speedrun?" And I feel like that's one of them
That I wouldn't.
that you wouldn't
Any
speedrun.
games I love that I would not speedrun. Well, I know for a fact the moment you decide to start speedrunning it, you're going to end up hating it. So you got to pick and choose carefully.
Yeah, that there's a
Um,
game that I really want to run, but I know I'm going to end up hating it if I do. I can't remember what the game
gonna
was. But there's
it's
a lot
going
of
to
games
happen.
like that. Yeah.
The game that I wouldn't run. Oh God. Hmm. I don't know, because if I were to speedrun something else from scratch, I think it would be a Metal Gear game.
Oh, really?
I think it. I think it would be. Yeah, I wouldn't mind trying to learn 3 at some point. Maybe the remake.
Well,
You know.
I was literally just about to ask you, are you looking forward to the remake? Is that
Yes.
actually a
Yes, I
game that
am.
you're looking forward to playing?
Yeah, actually, yes. That one, yes. Am I expecting the world from it? No, but something fun to try out when it releases? Yeah, absolutely.
It actually
I have.
releases on my birthday, I think, or at least not long
Really?
after. Because if you didn't know,
That's
you
cool.
probably forgot, even though it happens every year. But me and Kim have the same birthday.
I was
Yeah,
just gonna say, yeah, you
yeah.
share a birthday.
So I think it comes out on
Aug-
like the 28th of August, something like that. I think the game comes out.
Mhm. It's
Um,
2.5 months from now.
yeah.
Ish.
Are you planning to stream that?
It it depends if I'm still in the middle of like, if I'm like, any day, it's any day. I feel so comfortable. Any day I'm getting a 246 or a 247 something. It depends.
It's so
I
funny that
also
I sit there waiting for a message from you asking for a world record thumbnail, and then the
thumbnail.
more
Yeah.
time that passes, I'm like, "Is he doing all right? How's it going?" Because I just waited for you to message for the thumbnail, and then when I
Yeah.
saw you message me when you just got off stream, I saw you typing when you sent that message when you because I saw you just got offline. I'm like, "He's done it.
Uh,
He's done it." I knew you'd done it before you'd even message me because why else would you be messaging me other than
uh,
if you wanted the thumbnails? Um, yeah, so yeah, I get it. Like, it is hard to keep the motivation up sometimes if you're struggling to get the time that you're happy with. I mean, I've had it happen before, but the difference is I give up. You don't.
The worst thing about it, the worst thing about treating speedrun as a full-time job, well, first of all, I gives me less time to watch other streamers I like, but also, um, oh, what was it? I don't know if it's like this with other runners, but the more I play Last of Us, I end up playing worse. Like, I play my best Last of Us when I take maybe a day or two off after playing for 5 or 6 days straight. But like on that fifth or sixth day, I'm not playing well. I
Yeah.
don't know what it is.
I mean, I do get that sentiment. It's the same thing with like, I don't know, because I mentioned PUBG to you. Obviously, I've been playing that for a long time. I still play occasionally, but it's like one day you'll get on, you'll be like, "Damn, I'm good," and the next day you'll be absolutely terrible, and you don't know why. And it's the same kind of concept, I guess, with speedrunning. Is you might be on it one day and then the next you're just not, and it's like,
Yeah,
it
it's
is
so
what it is.
demoralizing.
It doesn't matter how much you play again. I do think speedrunning is about time. Like, the more time you put in, the better you'll get. But that's when you're starting
Overall,
out.
generally, yeah.
When you get to a peak, I don't think that will ever. So I do think for you personally as well, like, you are probably the best because of how much time that you've actually put in. Didn't you say you're at like 18,000 hours or something? Something crazy like that?
There's no way to know because there was like a whole 3-year stretch PlayStation wasn't tracking my hours
Oh, really?
because I do my runs with the Wi-Fi and my console turned off, just so there's no interruptions, no distractions, nothing. And when you do that, the console doesn't track your hours played.
That's so
So my
stupid. It should be
my
tracked on the console, not through the internet.
I know mine. So my hours played with Last of Us stayed the same number for almost 3 years. The only reason it goes up now is because after attempts, I do the no return daily run, and you have to have your Wi-Fi turned on for that. So I think as long as the console stays on and you turn the Wi-Fi on, the hours played updates.
Yeah.
So
I
my
don't.
hours played has gone up like 400 in the last 2 months, and it hasn't moved. Like before that, it didn't move for 3 years.
I don't know what game I would say I've got the most hours in when it comes to speedrunning, but obviously Uncharted and The Last of Us is up there. Like, I definitely have like at least like nearly 3,000 on Last of Us, but obviously that's nothing in comparison to you. But I think Dead Space 3 would probably be another one, because it was the same concept as what you just said. A long time Dead Space 3 didn't track my hours. I don't know why. But I think, because right now I'm at like 1,300, I think if it had tracked him, it would be at like 2,000, probably above that. But that's a lot of time to put into a game, considering how many games I've ran. That.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've probably played like 50,000, 60,000 hours across all the games that I've done, which is really sad to think about it.
When you publish this, you should put a pinned comment of your speedrun.com page and have people go through just how many games and categories you've ran over the last decade.
A lot.
It's
I don't know how I do it, but then it's always good to like. I like to think of it as like, I am like really good at some games, but I am quite up there on a lot of these games that, because like Dead Space 3, for example, that I not to toot my own horn or anything, but I do think that I'm probably the best at that game in terms of the speed, and I have all the world records for it.
Say it loud and proud, man. Come
on. But yeah, so that game for me is probably my proudest achievement in terms of speedrunning. And I've been running that since 2016. So that's a long time too, just for that one game. It's like 9 years. But I've still put a lot of time into all these other games, and like for Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, I put like 300 hours into it, all the skips and all the stuff. But I still have the world records after like these like 5 months. Even though I play so many different games, I still have decent spots on these boards, even if I don't play them or keep playing them, which is nice. I mean, look, I'm still third place in Last of Us 80%. I haven't ran it in like what 4 or 5 years. I don't even remember. It's been a
Yeah,
long
a long
time.
time.
Actually, I'm gonna check. When did I do that run? Where's The Last of Us?
I can
What
check.
is that? It 2
Any
years?
percent or any
Yeah.
percent or any percent new game plus.
New Game Plus. Don't even look on my New Game run. That one's awful. It's like 8 years ago.
3 years ago, apparently. You got below 230.
Yeah, so and that's probably the last time oh yeah, nearly 3 years. 6 days until 3 years, and that's probably the last time I played it, or like
Your
really.
normal any your normal any percent one was from June of 2016.
Yeah, because that category is terrible. I, I don't know. I don't like New Game. I don't know what it is. If I was gonna do New Game, I'd rather just do Grounded. So it's like,
That's exactly how I feel too. When it comes to easy mode, I don't like doing new game, but new game plus, that's almost a joy. But
for me,
then
I
the
look at
opposite
it
for
as
grounded.
you either want to do the easiest thing possible or the hardest thing possible. You don't want an in between.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Grounded New Game Plus is like the hardest thing, but making a little bit easier on yourself. Easy New Game is the fastest thing, but also not as fast as it could be. Yeah, I agree with you
Yeah.
100% on that.
And it's like, why would you do easy New Game 80% when you can't do Sue Skip as well? It's like, it's just,
Yeah.
it's just pointless at that point. I still need to do a run with the new skips. I haven't done one. I don't have Museum Skip. I don't have Bill's Town Skip. I don't have the new like Bill's Trap variant. I don't have Sewer Skip in my run. One day I will come back.
Those skips are crappy.
I know. I have tried coming back, and I hated Bill's Town Skip. It just irritated me, and I couldn't get it to work.
Bill's Town Skip isn't that bad. I remember Museum Skip for me put me over the edge. Oh God, I remember I hated Bookstore Skip. Oh fuck that skip.
Was this the variant I found with the ledge where you have to run along the ledge?
Yes, I hate that one.
It's my bad, sorry.
I still remember I tried my best to make a tutorial for all the new stuff, but then people didn't really like it.
Oh yeah, because I remember you asked me for advice about it. You reached out to me, and you were asking me what you should do because everyone was moaning about the video.
I know, like it wasn't my best work, but also that's not my forte. I'm not going to pretend to be the best at something when I'm not. Glitches in Last of Us are not my forte. Glitches in general.
I think people were annoyed because it was like trying to make a tutorial for something that you don't understand yourself is where...
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know 100% how everything works, but I also feel like some of the footage I had, if you're trying to learn it from scratch, was good enough. Because you got to treat people, if people are going to use it, you can't treat it like they're a professional yet. They're amateurs. They're learning it, you know? So I dumbed it down a little bit. It's also hard because when you're doing like I don't know, the swing and camera turn next to a wall, you can use 3 different things. You can use a brick, you can use a melee weapon, you can use your bare hands. I found it most comfortable to use my bare hands, but I don't think anyone else found it comfortable. So it was that disconnect too that made it really hard to explain.
Yeah.
But if you want to like learn or relearn how to do the glitches, I think the video I made might actually be helpful.
Maybe. Because I remember asking you, Anto, about the Bill's Trap, the Bill's Town one, and I just couldn't understand. Like it was more so the deload that you do in the graveyard. For most of the time I just couldn't get through the door, and then when you mess that skip up, you can't. It's really hard to retry it.
Yeah.
So that's what put me off. So I got there, and then I don't remember if I tried Museum Skip. I can't remember with the new stuff. But it's just, I've kind of moved on. I do enjoy the game, but it's been such a long time that I don't know. Like, I played Last of Us 2 casually again when it came out on PC, and I actually had a good time. And then I started thinking about, well, do I want to speedrun it? Do I want to do like a challenge run or something? And then, I just get distracted with other stuff, and I just put it off, and then it like gets to a point where it's like, well, I can't be bothered now. And that's just the same thing with the first game too. Is I boot it up and mess around because Thrill UK, Greg is always asking me to do stuff on it. I'm like, dude, I don't want to.
Yeah, we're also both a little older now. You know, we mentioned we've been doing this for 10 years now. We want our time to be spent more like we want something we do to be time well spent,
Yeah,
you
and
know?
for me, trying to find stuff on Last of Us is just trying to find a needle in the haystack at this point. Because back then
Mm.
it was different, but now it's like it's been bled dry. I don't know. Maybe one day we'll find. I mean, I'm the master of airwalks. One day I'll find an airwalk in the Last of Us. Trust me. One day.
Yeah.
How useful it would be, I don't know. Considering you can't skip much, I think most of the things that you can skip, we already skip now. So it's like,
Yeah.
I don't know
Some
what else
people
you
have
could
like
find.
debugged or what's it called? The like hacked PlayStations or
Yeah,
whatever. But you can like teleport Joel anywhere to see if like checkpoints can be hit and stuff. I know you're desperate to find something in the dam, right? I remember you put a lot of time into that, but
but
there's
there's
no checkpoints
nothing,
to be hit.
nothing.
Yeah,
I
right.
spent so many hours swimming around there. I remember once I on PS3, I managed to get inside of the hydro room where the cutscene is when you go into the door and obviously then Tommy and Joel sit down. I got in there and managed to get in that room before it loaded in, and there's no cutscene. It's just not there unless you get in that room the normal way, and it sucks. Because it's like, yes, in a sense, I do enjoy glitch hunting and looking for stuff on my own accord, because then if you do manage to get something to work, it's more exciting. But having a debug mode so you know if something is going to work, it kind of takes the fun out of trying to do it in the first place. But then it also means that you do know if you get something to work, it's going to work. You don't have to waste your time. It's kind of like I don't know, it's like tip for tap. It's like one way it's good, one way it's bad, pros and cons, all that stuff.
Yeah, it's more like glitch hunting more efficiently. I think it is.
I think the thing with Naughty Dog is they like to remove checkpoints, but with the big skips, they let them work. Like Pittsburgh skip, for example, that's quite a big skip, but it makes me remember Uncharted 4, because Uncharted 4, like, literally nothing works. But if you have debug mode, you can go from chapter 13 to chapter 16 and it works. There's no way you'd be able to do that unless you could literally fly, but it works. There's a checkpoint at the. Do you know? I don't know if you remember Uncharted 4. In chapter 16, there's like a big tower, and you have to climb to the top of this tower. It's outside the library or whatever, I can't remember. If there's a checkpoint at the top of that tower and it works from chapter 13, you can go straight, or 14, you can go straight to there and it will load in and trigger.
Right.
It's weird to me, but yet you can't skip one tiny checkpoint and go forward like 10 seconds. It just doesn't work. Let me see what other questions I've got. Okay, well, here's a good one. What's the most difficult trick in the run right now that you think, or difficult like strat?
Difficult. Well, I wouldn't say graveyard because that isn't difficult to perform. You just have to get lucky. So I wouldn't say that. I'd say it's probably the big areas like financial district or coal mine.
I love coal
Those
mine.
two.
It's probably
I
one of my
love it too.
favorite parts because it's just so fun to actually do.
Yeah. I would. Yeah. One of they feel very similar. So most difficult, I would say, I'd probably say financial district, but it could also be coal mine. One of those two. Actually, the real answer is slums.
Fuck slums.
I yeah,
That's what puts
I
me off
hate.
running the game. I can't. It's just annoying having to play for 30 minutes just to get past
Like
that.
you
And
got to
can
get
still,
7 headshots. You got to
yeah.
get ammo drops. They have to not do weird stuff. It has to register as a headshot because the pistol in the original game is horrible with that. And yeah,
So okay as well. Is there any specific moments over the past 10 years that like really stand out to you from streaming, whether it's speedrun milestones or just things happening on stream?
I usually get pretty blown away when I get these big raids. I've gotten a few big raids before. Um, One by Dark Viper one time. A couple times from Sweet Anita. You've probably heard of her
Oh
name
yeah, yeah.
before.
Oh, I remember when she raided you. I do remember that
Yeah.
actually.
And then on more than one occasion, I get a raid from Distortion. Literally, like 3,000 people just given to you.
Yeah.
The latest of which couldn't have been more than like a month and a half ago, or a month ago. So it's always when moments like that happen that's very cool. You suddenly become more professional.
But it's also, for me, it's also nice when you get to raid someone as yourself who's also like a smaller streamer, because I remember there was a couple times when I was getting a lot of viewers, and there was a little kid who was always in my stream. He was like 14, 15, but he was really active in my stream, and I knew that he sometimes tried to stream. And I remember one time he said in my chat that he was going off to stream, so I made sure when I finished I raided him. And I've never seen someone so excited in their life that at one point he said he was about to faint because I gave him those viewers. There weren't a lot. It wasn't a lot.
Yeah, it's hard.
Like
it's hard to. It's hard to remember that you were at one point in their place where it was like, oh man, like you could get like a 10 viewer rate and it's just like, oh my god, thank you. And now it's like
that's a big deal for someone who would sit there streaming for like, you know, 1 or 2 viewers. Because I don't know if I'm assuming you know him because he's been around a lot in the Discord. The Magnusnums. I can't say his name. You know what I'm on about.
Magnums.
Yes, that one. So I saw him go live once. He put it in the Discord, and I thought I'd open up his stream. And he said he didn't have any viewers. And when I joined, he went offline straight away. He said like "fuck this" and ended the stream. And I remember I messaged him and I said, like I was meant like a joke, like I can't believe you would stop streaming as soon as I joined or whatever. So he literally went back online for me to watch. So I went back in his stream and I was talking to him about, you know, streaming and, you know, tips and things you should do, things you shouldn't do. Like one thing you should do is hide your view account so you can't see it. It's a big tip I would give to smaller streamers, because when you can see your viewers, it will in turn change how you react. So like for me, I would rather be streaming to 1 viewer who's chatting than to 100 viewers that aren't. Because what's the point? Like, you want to interact with the chat. That's the whole point of streaming.
Yeah.
So if you can see your viewer count, it's going to make you act differently.
I feel like I'm being lectured.
Why?
When I'm on record pace, I ignore everyone.
Oh, well, no, that's one thing I was going to mention as well. I prefer recording speedruns. Because for me, it's easier to concentrate.
Yeah.
I don't like streaming them anymore. It's very rare that I will stream PB attempts on a game because I can't concentrate. But for him, I was giving him tips and stuff. And this was about a month ago. And he messaged me recently on Discord and said that his tips really helped him and he's finally reached affiliate. To these people, it's a big deal to get 3 viewers. And he said that ever since I came in, he's been getting... And I've given these tips. He's been getting people coming to his stream who aren't his friends, because before then, only his friends were watching him stream. So it's a big deal for someone to stick with it, but also don't dwell on if people are watching. Just dwell on being entertaining. Because if someone comes into your stream for the first time, and you're just sitting there like a gormless person, just like, and you're just not doing anything or not saying anything, they're gonna leave. If you try and be entertaining, regardless as to how many people are there, someone like Karini will then stay. And it's the same thing, like, because I guess for me and you, it was easy for us because we were doing something that people wanted to watch when we started. Because I remember when I started doing Last of Us, I was getting like, you know, 30 viewers, 40 viewers. It wasn't hard because people wanted to watch what I was doing. But now, speedrunning is so oversaturated that it's difficult to grow from that. Because I remember back then it was easy to grow from speedrunning, especially doing certain games. Because I remember we were talking about Catalyst. I told him to stream The Last of Us to get viewers. I literally told him to do this, and that's why he ran the game in the first place, was to try and build up a little community. And he did. He was getting like 30, 40 viewers, because back then it was easy to get viewers playing Last of Us. It's not anymore. The same thing for this guy. He started doing it and no one was watching him because it's so oversaturated, especially even Last of Us now. Loads of people are doing it.
Yeah, it's a little easier now that they've re-released it maybe 20 times.
Yeah,
But yeah, but you know, you talk about speedrunning being saturated, also just streaming in general.
yeah.
Streaming in general compared to, I don't know, 8 or 9 years ago is also way more saturated. There's this Twitter page, I still call it Twitter. There's this Twitter page I like to follow called Commander Root.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Uh,
He's that bot, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Commander Root. And he always puts out like quarterly updates or something. Let me see if I can find his most recent one. Here we go. Yeah, from April 1st. Quarter 1 2025 Twitch stats. Twitch currently has 3.4 million affiliates, 68,800 partners, all while having 1,370 staff accounts. There's more than 21 million emotes. And then it goes into detail. In quarter 1 2025, there have been 7.3 million users which have streamed at least once. 41,000 of those are partners, which is 0.5%, and 1.1 million affiliates, which is 15.27%, and then the remaining percent, which is 6.2 million, are plebs. And if you require 5 or more streams, that's 35,800 partners, 770,000 affiliates, and 2.4 million plebs.
When
So,
you really think about it, don't you think it's wild that both me and you are partners? Obviously, I'm a nobody compared to you, but we're both partners, so we're in that little small minority of that 68,000, which, when you really think about it, in the grand scheme of things, is not a lot for how
yeah,
many people are on the website.
I think those stats mentioned, you're in the top like 0.5%, you
Yeah,
know?
that's crazy to me.
Yeah, that is.
Yeah, it's like well, that's what. So I'll say this. I did have this as a question. But I guess it can be two questions in one. If someone was starting out streaming, or if someone was starting out speedrunning The Last of Us, what advice would you give them? What would you give them for speedrunning, and what would you give them for streaming? I mean, I've already
Well, for
kind of gone over
speedrunning,
the streaming advice, but I guess we could get your take as well.
yeah, well, the speedrunning advice, I would say, just do one. You at some point you just have to jump into the deep end of the pool and you just do one.
Yeah,
It's gonna suck. You're gonna maybe have to redo an area 10 times, but
yeah.
it's gonna force upon you what you need to get better at.
Yeah,
Like
definitely don't try and get into a speedrun by learning the strats first. Never do that. Just do a run.
yeah,
Kind of get a feel
yeah,
for it and then start to incorporate stuff that way.
yes, and in doing that, you'll see why. Like if you're comparing against the record that I got or the tutorials that I have, you'll be like, "Oh, that's why he does that here," and it's like because it didn't work when I tried it or
Yeah.
something. So you do it yourself and then incorporate the fastest things a little bit later. You realize why something works or doesn't
And
work
and,
that
and
in that.
never do everything. Um that's a big tip that I would give. Just because you might see Ant doing every single insane strat there is under the sun, don't feel like you have to do every single one. If something doesn't work for you, don't do it. But if something does work for you, then do it. It's like with skips. There's a lot of hard skips in games. If someone comes to me and asks about speedrunning Uncharted 2, I will tell them never, ever do 17 skip. Unless you want a top 3 time, don't bother. Because it's
Hmm.
literally random. You're going to bash your head against a wall trying to do it when you don't have to do it. I've seen someone trying to learn the game and they're sitting at this wall doing a skip, and I've told them, no, don't do
The,
that.
the strat is literally bashing your head against a wall.
Yes. It's like it's so silly to me. Like you can easily in Uncharted 2, for example, if you ever go back to it, you could easily get a sub 115 time without 17 skip. You don't need to do it. You can
Probably.
technically get a sub 110 with enough effort without 17 skip. The only reason I would say to do 17 skip is if you want the top 2. Like I could beat my PB that I have right now without 17 skip. But there's no point because I won't improve as much as if I was to also do it. But yeah, so like there's a lot of strats in games. Don't feel like you have to do every single one when you're starting out. Learn some, do runs, add more as you go. That's the best advice I can give to somebody who wants to, especially with Last of Us as well. It's the same thing. Even with Glitchless, it's the same stuff. There's a lot of strats that you do that I would not recommend doing. Like there is strats like that you can do that are slower, but are a lot easier to do. Just so you can get a time to base it off.
Yeah, and I can give an example. If I were to ever get Last of Us into like an on-stage GDQ run, Slums would look different. I would pick up like at the very end of Slums, instead of leaping over the railing after the last headshot, I would go to the right and grab a med kit. It's a free med kit that doesn't affect crafting ingredients or anything. It's just free. I would pick that up. And then when you're doing Wharf, we have a faster strat where you just sprint through the middle of the area now. There's a slower strat it's about 3 seconds slower, but it's perfectly consistent.
Is that the one where you swing and hit the guy with the plank before you run?
No.
I mean, I'm so out of touch with Grounded. I couldn't tell you this from that. I really
no. Oh, that's Cargo. I'm thinking of Wharf.
Oh, Wharf. Yeah. Okay, yeah. I got
spot right before it.
Yeah.
There was a strat you would go to the left side, stop your sprint for a second, and then go. Pretty much guaranteed to not take damage there. If I was in a marathon environment, I'd totally do that strat. Because the one we do, even though it's 3 seconds faster, there's one attempt where I don't take any damage at all. There's another attempt where I get killed. And I did the exact same thing.
Yeah.
So, little stuff like that, you know. When you're just starting out, I recommend doing the slower stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah, never go in the deep end. You go into the
dip your toe first in the kiddie pool.
Yes, that. Is there anything you want to, as we're wrapping this up, is there anything you want to mention or say?
Well, there was the second half to that question, advice for streaming.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, you got to enjoy it. It's funny. I don't know if I would encourage anyone to pursue full-time streaming. For a couple reasons. One, revenue is different each month. 1 month I can make, well, I don't want to give numbers, but I can make a lot of money 1 month and not a lot of money a different month, but still do the same thing, stream the same number of days, same number of hours. I mean, it's inconsistent.
The way you look at it is streaming is based on generosity. Yeah, you do get ad revenue, but it's not a lot. It all depends on other people.
Plus, you feel guilty running that many ads. Like, I run a lot of ad breaks. I just make sure I run them when, Last of Us has a lot of downtime.
Which is a lot of boring stuff.
But I still feel guilty when I'm running them. But if you were in my shoes, you don't have a choice. You have to. But I'm also not saving up for retirement. There's no Social Security or pension in my future. You have to budget yourself really well because you get screwed on your taxes because there's not a single penny of tax taken out in your paychecks. So it's pretty much all
that's an unfortunate circumstance of you being American. Because we don't have to deal with that. When we do the tax form for Twitch in the UK, they automatically tax the money you get. You don't have to do that. They just do it for you.
So, yeah, that would be. I would like that. So yeah, it's pretty much all of those things. Why I would almost not have someone pursue full-time streaming because you get screwed on your taxes. You don't know how much money you're going to make in a month, and again, you're not setting yourself up for when you get older and maybe aren't physically able to do it anymore. No Social Security, no pension, no retirement plan, no nothing. I don't expect to live that long. but yeah, it's all those things that come into play when the other side of it is I do love doing this, and once I saw what it was, I really wanted to make it work all those years ago. I really did.
One piece of advice I would give is never stream to make money, because I didn't.
Yeah.
We did something that we wanted to enjoy, which was doing Last of Us. If you go into streaming expecting to grow and get money, it's not Streaming is luck. First and foremost,
Yeah.
everything about streaming is pure luck. And
It's really
all the
sucky
things,
to admit that, but yeah,
yeah,
it's
everything
true.
that I've mentioned today is luck. Like Kata doing Dark Souls was luck. My friend who recently just got big is luck, because he was streaming every day, pretty much like consistently ish, nothing, and then he got lucky, and that's what it is. I got lucky with Last of Us 2. You got lucky with Last of Us. It's the same thing. It just depends how you approach it when you hit that moment. So never expect anything out of it.
Yeah, there's a part of me that's jealous of people who can just do it for fun and then have like, a life, family, a job supporting yourself outside of it, and then you do it for fun.
Yeah.
There's a part of me that's always going to be kind of jealous of that.
Have you ever thought about getting a job? Not like actually,
No. You sound like my dad.
No, I mean, like, have you ever thought about like getting like a little bit of work on the side to get you a little bit of extra money while streaming?
No, because I know if I do that, the number of days I stream is going to plummet. And I mean, that's how it had to be when I first started out. Again, I didn't start making money from this until 2017, and I started streaming in 2014. That's a long stretch of doing it with balancing school and another job. I did a driving job while I was in 2016. I did a driving job, and back in 2016, I had maybe 60 or 70 viewers per stream, which doesn't sound like a lot, but that's just a hair under what you needed for partnership. So I'm like, and every stream, I don't know where they came from, but every single stream, anywhere from 8 to 10 new followers, it adds up.
Yeah.
And what was it? There was 3 or 4 days a week I had to work, and I wasn't able to stream nearly as much as I could have. And what was also happening was, I would stream at night, and I had work the next morning. There was one day specifically, I almost fell asleep behind the wheel. I had engineers in the back testing signals for phones that haven't been released yet. That was the job, and I just drove a route. I almost fell asleep behind the wheel. I was doing it was since my webcam's on. I was doing this. I was.
Yeah, that would have been. I actually got into a car crash when I was younger.
Scary.
Because the other driver fell asleep.
Mm-hmm.
Because this was like New Year's Eve, so obviously it just clocked over to midnight. We were driving home, and the other guy had fallen asleep, and he was coming towards us. We technically saved his life because we were going over a bridge. So it was a bridge that you go up and over. He was coming towards us. He hit us on the side, on the top of the bridge. If we hadn't have been there, he would have gone over that bridge, crashed through it, and gone down. So we technically saved his life. But again, it's like work stressful. You can't. It's hard to do something like that if you're tired.
Yeah.
So I get it.
So it was just the lesson learned. Like, if you're gonna make this successful, you have to give it your full-time effort. And people aren't going to want to support as much if you're half-assing it, but you're only showing up 3 days a week or so.
Yeah, but the most important thing I would say is be entertaining. Like, don't do something or play something you're not enjoying, because you're not going to be entertaining. And if you're not entertaining, no one's going to want to watch you. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's for me, like, I enjoy streaming, but sometimes it's hard to keep the motivation going when you feel like you're not entertaining. When I started streaming, it was easy to talk. I used to talk so much. I wouldn't shut up. So it was easy for me to talk then when no one was watching. But nowadays, because of where I've been, where I've come from, what I've done, it's harder to get into that mindset of trying to be entertaining if I know that there's not really much reason to be entertaining, which is why I usually stream speedruns, and I don't stream as much anymore as I would like to. I want to get back into it. It's just finding the thing I want to do. But like, I've been there, done it. You've been there, still doing it. You understand the things you need to do in order to achieve, but don't expect to achieve, because it might not happen.
Yeah.
It's just the way. It's just life. It's like winning the lottery. If you get popular from streaming, it's like winning the lottery.
Yeah, 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 it is, and it was. I don't know if I mentioned it already. It was easier to break in when streaming it was still in its infancy in a way.
Yeah.
2014. I mean, Twitch couldn't have been 4 years old at the time.
I mean, I never
Now
expected to stream. I streamed because I wanted my friend to
me neither.
watch it. And then I just thought, you know what, I'll just keep streaming it. And people started to watch. They wanted to watch speedruns. And it's just, back then, it wasn't so oversaturated that it was a niche thing that people fully didn't understand, but they were intrigued by. But nowadays, it's like you can mention speedrunning to someone and they'll know what it is.
Yeah, yeah, it's true. And same thing with not always the case. I was gonna say, like, if you tell someone you're a Twitch streamer, you'd be surprised how many people are like, I've literally never heard of that.
If you tell them you're a YouTube streamer, they'll probably understand.
Yes, yes. Oh god, every time I go to the dentist and I you got to make chit chat with the person cleaning your teeth, and then the question comes up. So what do you do for a living? And like, oh, all right, here we go.
Yeah, I get that. Well, what do you do for a living? Nothing is what I do. That is what I do. But anyway, so thanks so much for joining me, having a little chat. I thought after the 10-year mark, I thought it was a good time to reminisce on the past, considering we both came from the same thing. We both started at the same time, and we still talk. We have a little partnership. If people didn't know, I make Ant's thumbnails, even though they're terrible, but he likes them for some reason.
They're good.
They're acceptable. They work.
Even if I knew how to make the thumbnails, I'd probably still ask someone else to do them because I'm a very naturally lazy person.
When I first sent you that template for that speedrun thumbnail, I worked very hard on that. I thought, how can I entice this man into wanting my thumbnails? Because I used to be terrible at making them. And I just kind of learned things over the years. Actually, well, I do want to talk to you about revamping the thumbnails, but I'll do that another time.
Yeah, sure.
Because obviously they are kind of the same. Like, I'm sick and tired of giving you a speedrun thumbnail that's exactly the same, just with different text on the screen every time. So I kind of want to do different stuff with the backgrounds. Anyway, yeah, thanks for joining me. It's been
no problem. This was fun.
Good to talk. And yeah, if people have, I don't know if you want to check out the video. If anyone's got any questions they want to ask, and I didn't stream this. I recorded this just because it was easier for me. But if anyone's got any questions for Ant, I guess you can ask them in the comments. Maybe he'll watch and check them out, see if there's anything in there
I'd answer them.
Reply to.
Fun fact about me: I don't respond or heart every comment I receive on my channel, but I do read every single one. If you think your comment is just put out there and then it's just cast into a void,
I have read some terrible comments on my channel. It's insane. I'm not joking. So I had a comment the other day. It was that bad that the person deleted it after I replied to it. Let me. I'll tell you about this after, because I've got to move the camera to get to someone else's chat to find it, because I can't get it back, so I deleted it, but I took a screenshot of it. But yeah, what was you saying?
Yeah, if you think you leave a comment and then that's it. No, I do read every single. I don't interact with every single one, or even heart them, but I do read every single one. It's also a way I make sure that everything's running smoothly, because that's part of the job as well. You need there was a South Park episode called, I haven't seen the whole episode, but it was called Safe Space, which is basically the same concept. You need to make sure, like, people in the comments of your videos, everything's just going smoothly. There's no one like looking for attention, saying something weird or something. The same goes for a live chat, but it's also for videos as well.
So I make sure to basically vet them and then delete the ones that are like. Yeah. But yeah. So yeah, if you got any questions you want to ask him, put them in the chat. I'm assuming Ant's gonna share this video, so if you ask him any questions in the chat. Thanks for joining me again. It was a lot of fun. And yeah, thanks for watching, guys.